Welcome to the Rainey Leadership Podcast, where we do a deep dive into company culture. Rainey is a car dealership located throughout South Georgia, and we are striving to be the best car company by first being the best care company. And one way that we do that is by meeting every week and talking about company culture. Today, we're going to be diving into the book Culture Rules by Mark Miller. Today's episode is another two-parter with our owner and CEO, Bob Rainey. Let's dive in.
All right. Y'all, sometimes when you look at the cameras, you think everything's got to sync with the cameras and not with you. Well, I'm going to be just the opposite. I'm going to sync with you and not worry about the cameras. So, do what?
Good plan.
Oh, okay, good plan. I think about the book, Culture Rules, or Culture Wins, or, culture is so important. Do we realize that? I think about way back in the 1960s when Daddy first had the car built, and he was just starting off, and we had 2 or 3 cars in the yard. I think about that, and I wonder, did he worry about culture? Here we are 50, 60 years later, and as we talk about culture a lot, I don't know that he ever knew about culture. But the thing about culture is when you got it, you got it. Because to me, culture is a training of the soul. It's a training of the soul. It's treating people with care, compassion, and concern. He had those 3 C's down. He knew it. He understood it. That's just who he was. He didn't get a book and say, read about culture and say, okay, I'm going to start doing culture. It's just who he was. And years later, we're in a classroom and we talk about culture a lot. How did you play the game this week? Now, Hunter, will you say, well, I didn't play the game this week?
No, I'm always playing the game.
You're always playing the game. That's what you got to understand. You're always in it. It's your move. It's your move. You're always playing the game of culture. You're always. He understood it, but he didn't know it. He was swimming in the water, and he did a good job. Today there's so many books written. I talked to Thomas the other day about books, and he said, and I understand what he meant. He said, listen, these books, leadership, maybe it's time for us to look at another book other than just something leadership and culture. It is. But you know what? We're going to finish up this book next week. So if y'all got another book we want to look at, let's look at another type book. Bailey gave me a book today I'm going to read, and we'll maybe look at going over it in a couple of months. But if y'all got a book, Zach, you got a book that causes us to think, let's go over it. I talked with Bennett the other day, and we've talked about this before, but have you ever thought about barnacles? What do you think about barnacles when you think about them?
They're hard to get off?
Very, very true. They're hard to get off. John, do you think about Audrey, when you think about barnacles, does anything come to your mind? It may not.
I didn't even know what you were talking about.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I don't even.
You're talking about a book.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know that I know. Look up barnacle on a ship. But let me tell you one thing. Let me warn y'all folks of one thing that success will do. Success will, barnacles will attach themselves to your ship. Okay? So when a business is successful, what will happen if you're not careful?
Well,
Let's just say
barnacles.
it. Barnacles. will attach itself. And what did Lisa just say a minute ago?
They will cut you.
They will cut you.
They're hard to get off.
And they're hard to get off.
They really are.
They're hard to get off. I just want us to be conscious and to beware of that, because it will certainly happen. You know, these barnacles will attach themselves to your department. Exactly right. The question is, are there barnacles in your department? Or the barnacles on your ship?
And you have to look hard.
You do?
Because the barnacles are...
Yeah. You know, I may just very quickly, you know how I like to go, you know. Zach can say, Zach, you got any barnacles in your office over there? Zach might say, no, I don't, because I just got like in that. I'm saying, that ain't right. What about that FedEx thing?
Oh, yeah. That was a barnacle.
That was a barnacle, that was a big, ugly barnacle. Robbie, we was paying like $7,500 a month on FedEx charges that we didn't really realize that barnacle, that FedEx barnacle had attached itself to our ship. And now we've cut it down to
It's going to be around like $1,100.
$1,100 a month. That's $6,000 a year, a month in savings, times 12 is $72,000 a year, just in FedEx charges. It's a barnacle. You got to look for these barnacles, because like Bennett said, when you walk out there and look at your ship, you don't see a barnacle on it, because they're beneath the water and you can't see them. If you got barnacles, I don't know. Have barnacles? You have barnacles over there with you? Do you? I could almost imagine with all your crew over there, you could almost, and I don't want to, I mean, you might say, you know what, we have some barnacles, and they got some pretty easy to spot. But then you may look out there in the salvage yard, and you might say, well, you know, it's not quite as evident there. And I'm not saying it's evident in Europe, but the bigger you run a pretty big department, so there's a lot going on over there, and barnacles can easily attach themselves to your ship over there.
They're definitely there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure they are. Audrey, with what you do, I don't know of barnacles, but there may be. They're just not easy to see. Y'all, we talked last week and the weeks prior about aspirations, and we have certainly and most assuredly we know what aspirations are. You know, goals that are written on our hearts and in our minds, things that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, Ben, if you want to put a prettier picture up there, let's get the barnacles.
Put a clean ship up there.
Yeah, put something up there. You know, rule number 1 was to aspire. And rule number 2 on page 87, rule number 2 is to amplify. Now, what does amplify mean? Yeah. To increase is good. To enlarge, does a megaphone amplify? You know, a cheerleader at a ball game has this big long megaphone, and it increases her voice to amplify. So, what are we going to amplify? We're going to amplify our aspirations. What are our aspirations? You know, very simply put, trying not to make it complicated, Robbie, our aspirations are to become the greatest car company by being, do you know the rest of it? By being the greatest care company. Now, how many opportunities will you have today to care? Now, think about that. I mean, you will be over there with your employees today. You'll have opportunities to care for them in some type of way. You will. You know, you'll go over to the OG lot and you'll have opportunities to care. I want you to recognize that these opportunities every day that we have to care. You might go into a convenience store today to buy you a snack, and there'll be a clerk there behind the counter. Did you know that you can care about her? You can. May not have opportunity to do it today or tomorrow, but you will have opportunities. You can be in a restaurant. You can care about your server. Just multiple ways to care. Our aspirations is, compassion, concern, and care as we travel through life. You remember I'll have to be helped on this, but in How to Win Friends and Influence People, it says as you go through the trail of life, you leave what? You remember what you wrote? You leave little sparks of gratitude. You're on it though, but the trail of life, Hunter, you leave little sparks of care, concern, compassion, little sparks. Bennett, you remember when Clark used to barbecue up there at the store on Saturday mornings at 5 o'clock in the morning? And he'd get through about lunchtime, and he'd take that big old grill behind the truck. When he first started, he didn't know about them little sparks. And on the way home, he set the woods on fire. And it wasn't our woods. That's the bad part. The little sparks of gratitude can become a great big fire, can't it? Yes. And that's what I want us to do. The little sparks of gratitude, of care, you will have opportunity today. Compassion, you will have an opportunity. Concern, you will have an opportunity. As you travel the road of life, we are going to amplify these things. We're going to amplify our aspirations. We're going to, that's what this chapter is about. Now, Christy, what page are you on? 87. Okay. I want you to read to us what it says under amplify.
Ensure the cultural aspirations is reinforced continually.
Okay. Now, you read that, and you don't even know what she said. We don't even, you know what I mean, Audrey. To ensure the cultural aspirations are reinforced continuously. We don't even really know what it's trying to tell us. Right. So I'm telling y'all, this is the key right here. If we don't get this, there's no need for us to go to page 88 or 89. If we don't get this right here, I know how I want it done. I just want you to, we're going to write the word. What's the very first word, Christy? Ensure. We're going to ensure. Right, ensure. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Got your highlighter. I'm glad you spelled it like that instead of INSURE. I thought that's what you were going to do. All right. All right. Okay. All right. We are going to amplify our aspirations. We're going to shout our compassion and care and concern. We're going to amplify it. And so it tells us to ensure. Well, Hunter, what does ensure mean? Well, I know, listen, we don't listen. We say the word, but I reckon since Christy read it, she knows what ensure means. Hey, I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. I hadn't thought about that, but don't write that down though. Make sure. We're going to ensure that we're going to amplify our aspirations. We got to ensure that we do that. What'd you say? I looked it up, y'all. Make certain, this is what I want, make certain that something happens. We are going to ensure, and what are we going to ensure, Audrey? That we're going to amplify our aspirations. Yeah, so what we're going to ensure?
Amplify our aspirations.
We're going to ensure, we're going to make certain that something shall occur. We're going to make certain that something shall occur. Okay? We're going to ensure this. We're going to make certain. If you're going to be in this group of leaders, then you're going to make certain that we ensure our cultural aspirations. We're going to amplify these things. We're going to do it. All right. We're going to ensure the cultural. Write down cultural. What does the word "the" mean? I was going to look that up. Ensure the. What's the purpose of "the"? Does "the" have a definition? I don't know.
Denoting one or more people or things already mentioned or assumed to be common knowledge.
The?
The.
I didn't know it meant so much.
Here's probably a better one.
Okay.
Used to point forward to a following, qualifying, or defining.
That's it right there. Now read that again.
It is used to point forward to a following, qualifying, or
Okay.
defining clause.
All right. Just put "the" right there. Because we got to use "the" here, okay? We don't want to leave. I think "the" is important. And "the" means whatever he just said. Don't remember exactly what he said, but it points toward. It points toward. That's pretty simple. To ensure the cultural. It points toward something. It's pointing toward cultural. Now, we're going to ensure the cultural. Now, who in the heck wants to try to get a cultural? Whew. John, you don't look like you don't want to do it, so I won't call on you.
The water we swim in.
Hey, that is pretty simple for us country folks right there. It is the water that we swim in, and we got to recognize the life-giving qualities that it does give us. It gives our business life and energy. Cultural. All right, I'm going to try, Lisa, because I looked it up. And remember now, John Turan defines culture as training of the soul and not the mind. It's something that you do deep within you because it's just who you are. Training of the soul. Cultural. We're going to amplify our aspirations. We're going to ensure the cultural. Now, this is going to be a little deep here. I mean, it was deep for me. Cultural here, again, I looked it up. It's relating to a particular society or business. Relating to a particular business. Now, we're in the car business, and it's Rainey Used Cars. So we are relating to a particular society, Rainey Used Cars, and its ideas and customs. We are relating to Rainey Used Cars and its particular ideas and customs. Our particular ideas and customs is the care that we show in everything we do. It is a deep sense of personal honor, which was part of a cultural heritage. It's a deep personal sense of honor. You know, I've dealt with most of you in the room here to some degree. Cultural, we've got to ensure the cultural. Remember now, cultural relating to a particular society, which is Rainey Used Cars, and its ideas and customs. Now, what are ideas and customs? It's care, compassion, and concern. Now, I want to compliment somebody in the room, and I could compliment everybody, but I don't have time to do this. I have never asked Robbie to do something for me that I didn't get a sense that he didn't do it without personal, deep honor for the sake of the company. He never said, that ain't my responsibility. Have I ever asked you to do something that wasn't your responsibility? Most certainly I have. Yes. But he's never not done anything, and he's done it with a deep personal sense of honor. And if we can all be like that, the synergy that creates, and I wish I had time to talk about synergy more, but that is the kind of the multiplication. Boy, when we get on the same page and we're working together, that's synergy. But if you ain't careful, all you'll do is addition. You know, what did you do today? What did you do today? And we just add it up, and that's addition. Well, listen, you can get a heck of a lot more done if you do things with a deep personal sense of honor. That's the cultural aspirations. You got to know what they are. We've got to ensure, make certain that something shall occur, cultural. Just put a deep personal sense of honor. That's not exactly what that means, but we got to make certain that we do this with a deep personal sense of honor. We got to ensure the cultural aspiration is, now Bailey, what does is mean? You can look that up. Is reinforced. Ensure the cultural, aspiration. Aspiration. Well, we got to hurry along here. All right, y'all. Let me tell you, if we don't get nothing from this chapter, we're going to learn what this little statement means, okay? You might say, well, that ain't very interesting. Well, bear with me. We're going to learn what it means. Ensure the cultural aspiration is. What is is?
A form of the present tense, to be.
So, to be. So, are you telling me that you might could read that, ensure the cultural aspiration is to be?
You could.
Is to be. Okay. Aspiration. We got to get aspiration. Definition of aspiration. Now we've talked about that so much, we're not going to get bogged down in that. We're not going to get into the quicksand here and get bogged down. Just put simply goals. Aspirations, goals, a hope, an ambition of achieving something. The aspirations. Ensure the cultural aspiration is to be. Just put is out to the side like you did the. Below, just like you did the, yeah. Aspiration is, just put it right there. Yeah, over that, yeah, right there. Is reinforced. Reinforced. All right, a key word here. Now, reinforced. Write down. All right, yeah, reinforced, okay. All right, now, y'all, this is important now. We're going to ensure the cultural aspiration. We're going, you understand this, Jeremy, now? We're going to ensure, we're going to make certain that our cultural, the deep personal sense of honor, we're going to reach these goals. You got to make sure all these things is reinforced. I mean, when you think of the word reinforced, you can just let that word just go right over your head. I mean, when you read this stuff, y'all, because I know how it is to read. Listen, we ain't done this book exactly right. I understand it. We ain't told you what page, we ain't done nothing like that. But how long would you normally spend on a page like this, Bailey?
2 seconds.
2 seconds, that's right. And we're on to the next page because you know where we want to get to? We want to get to the last page. And we don't spend much time on this. We can't skip this page. Reinforced. We're going to ensure our cultural aspiration is reinforced. Now, you think about reinforcement. What do you think about? Anybody? Reinforced.
Supported.
Supported. Reinforced. Reinforced. Let me tell you what you can do. I could put a form out here and lay 4 inches of concrete right out here. You could jump on it. You could stand on it. You could dance on it. You could do whatever you want to on that 4 inches of concrete. But let me tell you what I could do. I could take a sledgehammer, and if it wasn't too big, it wouldn't take me too long, would it, Bennett, to hit that concrete, and I could break it up into little chunks, and I could haul it out of here. Now, why could I do that to that concrete that you can stand on, jump on, dance on? You know, why could I do that? It has not been. I'm going to tell you what you do. You take that same form, the same concrete, and you get you some rebar. And you lay you about 6 or 7 strips of rebar across that. You know what rebar is? Iron, about big as your thumb. You know, lay it across there. And let me tell you what you can do. You can take a hammer and you can crack the concrete, but you ain't going to move that concrete without a piece of equipment at this. It's reinforced. Have you reinforced our cultural aspirations to ensure that we get this right? Have you reinforced it? You say, well, you know what? I ain't enforced it or reinforced it. I ain't done nothing this way. Yes, you have. Don't say you ain't done nothing. If you haven't done nothing, then you have taken the rebar out of what strengthens us. It's you that's got the opportunity to put the rebar into the concrete, to reinforce it. We have got to ensure our cultural aspiration is reinforced. Reinforced, what's the next word? Continuous. Now, me and Hunter know what continuously means, don't we? I mean, it's to keep on keeping on. It's continuously. Robbie, you lay that rebar in the concrete, you ain't got to keep on putting the rebar in the concrete, do you? You ain't got to do it because it's already in there. You can't keep on. But with our cultural aspirations, you know what you got to do every day? You got to reinforce it. And how are you going to reinforce it? You know, we're not going to put rebar in it, but we're going to think about our cultural aspirations, our goals, our compassion, our concern, and our care. We're going to think about those things with everybody we come in contact with. Everybody. Care, compassion, and concern. Now, rule number 2 is to amplify, is to shout out, is to increase our cultural aspirations. We're going to, I'll tell you what, reinforce is to strengthen or support. Strengthen or support. That's good. And just put continuously, and that's without interruption. Okay, continuously without interruption. That's very important for us to look at. Turn over to page. Without you don't know how to spell it. I tell you what. Let's just let him try. Let's see our accountant spell continuously. I'd have the same problem. All right. Y'all go to page 98 while he's struggling with continuously. Maybe he'll be through with it. Yeah, it's the without interruption. Continuously, without interruption. Okay, on page 98, halfway down, it says, in organizations around the world, it says, many people are inundated. Is that how you say that? Inundated? Inundated. And that's flooded or overwhelmed. Many people are overwhelmed by the demands of their lives and jobs. Listen, let me ask you this. Do sometimes you get overwhelmed by the request of things from the recycling yard? There's times that happens. Audrey, are you overwhelmed at times with certainly it happens. Robbie, all the things we ask you to do, detailing cars and hauling cars, and do you get overwhelmed at times? Surely we just get overwhelmed John, over there at the service department, how easy is it to be overwhelmed at 9 o'clock in the morning? You know, it's very, very easy. You know, many people, we are flooded with the demands of our jobs and our lives. The contributing factors vary from person to person. My thing that weighs me down may not weigh you down. Things are different. But some of the common things we always deal with are busyness. We're really busy. Complexity. Sometimes things get, I just can't handle this. My business years ago, Tyler, in Broadwood, all I had to do was just kind of look out the window and I could get a good pulse reading of how the company was doing just by simply looking out the window. I could see all my cars. I could see all my repos by looking out one window. Can you do it now? No, you can't. It's gotten complex, busy, distractions, success, failures, fatigue, fear, uncertainty. This is just what they call toxic quicksand. Apparently Mike didn't know we was having a book club meeting this morning because he'd have been here, because Mike's probably the only one that can remember this. Tarzan, the old black and white Tarzan movie. I watched the real Tarzan. Y'all watched the make-believe Tarzan. The Tarzan, that was really a Tarzan that it was in black and white TV, and I don't know where, he lived in the jungle somewhere because I saw it on TV. His wife was named Jane. And she was real. Now the ones that y'all saw on TV in color, it wasn't real. The one I saw was real. And he had a little boy named, his name was Boy. That was his name, Boy. And he had a monkey named Cheetah, I believe. But anyway, all this was real. It was real as I watched it on TV. And one of the greatest fears that I had, that monkey, everybody wanted a monkey. All the little boys in my neighborhood wanted a monkey. There wasn't but 3 boys. One of them got a monkey. Got one of them old squirrel monkeys, was mean as anything you ever saw in your life. I thought it was going to be a sweet monkey like on Tarzan that would want to hug your neck and jump in, But all this monkey was, you stick your finger in that cage, you wouldn't have a fingernail because he was going to get it. And they finally let him out of the cage, and the last time us 3 boys saw that squirrel, he was running down a power line. And we don't know where he ended up at. That squirrel I don't know if he got cooked or got gone. But we never saw that squirrel again. But we all loved the monkeys, and we all wanted one. But one thing out in the jungle, you had to be really, really careful was, you know what it was? It was quicksand. Oh my, as a little boy watching TV, you'd get terrified because you thought it was real. You did. And then I was just a little boy. Behind our house, you know what we had? We had a jungle. We did. I'd go down in the jungle. There wasn't Tarzan or Jane or Boy or Cheetah. They just wasn't there swinging from the tree. They just wasn't there. But you know what I thought was there? Quicksand. I'm going to tell you, that little creek that runs through the property, man, I better not see no muddy spot because I would have, you ever seen them in quicksand? Y'all probably never seen them. They get in that quicksand, and the more you move around, the faster you go down. Oh my gosh, I could just imagine myself getting in quicksand. It was terrifying, But in this business of day-to-day things that we do, sometimes we get into quicksand. We just get stuck. We get stuck. We can't go this way. We can't go that way. We can't go far. We just can't do nothing. We are just caught up in our busyness, the complexity of the business, the distractions, success, the failures. We just get caught up in the toxic quicksand. And I guarantee you, in this organization, there are people that are in this quicksand. And if we don't get out of quicksand, help others get out of quicksand, there is no joy in our work. Who wants to be stuck in quicksand? Do you? No, you want to get up and have a good time. We got to help ourselves, help others. We'll find no joy in our work. We won't be productive. Our influence will be diminished. And our chances of building a high-performance culture will be diminished. Listen, I'm going to skip a little bit because I'm going to give Bailey about 6 or 7 minutes here just to conclude the class with some thoughts that he may have. On page 100, it says if you're a senior leader, that second paragraph there. You cannot delegate your responsibility for the culture. You know, you can't expect your people out there to do it, Rob. You can't expect your people to create this high performance culture. You can't expect them to do it for you. You can be leaders, create this high performance culture. If you're a senior leader, you can't delegate your responsibility for the culture to somebody else, but you can't do it all alone. You got to share the aspiration over and over again. How many times over the past few weeks have I shared the aspiration of our goals? It's week after week, to the point maybe we're growing weary of hearing about aspirations. You do it. You share your aspirations over and over again in countless situations in order to break through the noise of the world and begin to embed your message in the hearts of your people. Listen, let me tell you one thing I hope, Tyler. I hope that when we get through this book next week, that the message of this book, that Culture Wins, will be embedded in your heart, your soul, and your mind. A message not heard consistently will be a message without impact. More of leadership is caught rather than taught. More of leadership is caught. Your people, you can tell them, but if they can just see you do it, you remember that. We all need to remember that. If they see you do it, it's easier for them to do it. More of leadership is caught than taught. And people need to see leadership much more than they need to study it. We need to study, but you know what you need to do? People need to see leadership rather than sitting around this table here studying. Even though we do need to study it, they need to see it. On page 101, and I'm going to conclude and give it to Bailey, leaders can say all the right things, and many do, but they still can fail miserably in creating the culture they say they want. Often the primary stumbling block is the leader. People always watch the leader. If you and I want to amplify our aspirations, that's certainly what we want to do. If we want to amplify our aspirations, the most powerful thing we can do is to be a living, breathing example of the preferred future that we hope to create. And I will end there. We need to be a breathing example of the preferred future that we hope to create. The problem is that some of us don't know our preferred future that we're trying to create.
We hope as you listen to this podcast, it'll motivate and challenge your team. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Rainey Leadership Podcast.